I run Arizona's Against Common Core. I started the organization about 3.5 years ago. Might give a huge, because I don't want to waste my time, but I have 4 children. I was at a curriculum night. I heard about Common Core in 2013. My 4th grade son, to prepare him for the global economy. That set off bells, whistles, sirens, everything for me. I was already fighting Agenda 21, and they want us to be good global citizens. So I knew exactly what that meant. I came home immediately and started reaching, what the heck is Common Core? And the more I researched, the more I was appalled. I'm going to be talking about our children are not for sale, about data mining and how we got here, but to talk about true data mining, I need to do a real short, brief history on how we got here. And that's why I have the first slide here. Data mining occurred in this country. It was a big push for it in the 1990s under the Clinton administration. The whole school to workforce team. There was the Workforce Investment Act of 1998, but merging factories with schools, this was rejected by the states. That's when they initially tried to do national standards in this country. There was a big push, however, under George W. Bush called Goals 2000 and No Child Left Behind. This is when the concept of data mining occurred, and this is when we first developed the P20 councils in our states. P standing for preschool, 20 standing for years of age. In our state, we developed a P20 council under Governor Napolitano, and that's what the next slide is about. But planned economies do not work. We cannot match students to a particular career path. It goes completely against our free enterprise system here in America. You know, we can't have predetermined career paths. It's just not what we believe in. So in 2005, there was an executive order written by Governor Brewer to develop our P20 Council. They were to explore ways Arizona can achieve a more effective, efficient, and equitable education pipeline. This P20 group was to align high schools, college, and work expectations to meet industry-specific skill sets in high-growth, high-skill occupations that would bring economy prosperity and diversity in Arizona. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? It just sounds like communism. Well, this was changed to the Arizona Ready Education Council in 2011 by Governor Brewer. Now, it went from 9 representatives from the public down to 3 under Governor Brewer. And the members now are to serve as the pleasure of the governor. Interesting. So this is what the website used to look like. She's not in office anymore, but I just wanted to point out a couple of individuals. Dr. Craig Barrett. He is the former CEO of Intel. He's also the chairman of Achieve. Achieve is the prime driving force for our Common Core. So interesting. Hubenthal, our superintendent, former superintendent, was also on the board. And we have Rich Crandall and Boris Goodell at the bottom there. They're the ones who set up our framework for park, for the data mining, etc. They did a lot of the bills back in 2011 under Governor Brewer's AREC Council. So moving along, I just wanted to show this graph briefly. The reason why No Child Left Behind did not work in our state is because we're not comparing our state like many other states. We have a high influence of English language learners in our state. And the reason why No Child Left Behind, the Ames test, all that failed is because our teachers were teaching to the test. Therefore, it was meaningless. I also want to show this graph because it kind of goes in what Representative Fincham was talking about. This is a graph from the Goldwater Institute showing you exponential increases in funding, and the lines with the dotted lines is the National Assessment for Education Progress test scores. So there's no correlation between funding and student achievement. What the correlation is where is the funding going? Is it going to the classroom? Is it going to administrative class like Fincham was talking about? That's the true crux right there. So more money doesn't necessarily mean better outcomes. That's important to remember. So this is what the council looks like today, the Arizona Ready Council. Superintendent Douglas is on the council now. They haven't met since 2014, but these are the members still. Craig Barrett, Pearl Jane Usau from the Expect More Arizona. Amanda McAdams, she was the Teacher of the Year in 2009. Tim Carter, he's on the SBE. Eileen Klein, and also Glenn Hammer, he's from the Chambers of Commerce. So you know why we have all this resistance in the legislature to get our good bills passed? It's because these are the lobbyists that are fighting the bills. So, I wanted to show you this. This is from the Arizona Ready Council. These are their goals to do data mining. They have 4 main goals. All schools shall implement college and career-ready standards with fidelity, create a data culture, provide avenues for underperforming schools, and improve effectiveness of teachers and leaders. I'm going to focus, and these are their percentages on what they wanted to improve in 2013. This is their current goal. We currently have a 75% third grade reading proficiency. 8th grade MAPE reading scores are at 72%, etc. So they wanted to raise all of these goals, and they do that through the data mining that they were wanting to establish. In 2014, they came up with this new strategy. They have 4 pillars that they wanted to track for student performance. And pillar 2 is data use, and that's the one I wanted to focus on, because that's what this presentation is about. Provide data and materials to education organizations. And this doesn't just include education organizations in the state, it's any education organization in the country that wants our data. And this is the biggest lie ever that I found on their website. External partnerships or support. They say we're not sharing data with external entities, outside entities for research. Well, you bet your bippy, we are. So, I wanted to talk about FERPA briefly. FERPA is the Family Education Rights to Privacy Act. This is the act which was supposed to protect student data, teacher data from being shared with outside entities and the federal government. Before a lowly Executive Order 12866. This is actually an executive order originally written by President Clinton, but it was solidified by President Obama in 2011. So it was initially started under President Clinton. Initially, FERPA gives parents certain rights with respect to their children's education records. These rights transfer to the student when he or she reaches the age of 18. Generally, schools must have written permission from the parent or eligible student in order to release any information. That's basically what FERPA is about. Well, with this lovely executive order, FERPA is no more. Now, under this Clinton executive order, allows our children's personal identifiable information, data to flow to outside contractors. This doesn't just include shot records. This includes discipline records, psychology records, and retina scans, on and on and on and on. This is now can be shared. Oh, we're just using it for research. What kind of research? Without parental consent, teacher consent even, they can share teacher data without permission. So, the Department of Education, when Superintendent Douglas got into office, that's the first thing she asked. Are we sharing this data with outside entities? They even testified in the legislature. They had Adam Fleming testify in the legislature. This is not happening. We are not sharing data. Why? We found this right on the website. There's a data management webpage where they talk about aggregated data and personal identifiable data, which is shared. It's right on the Department of Education website. So I wanted to real briefly, what's aggregated data versus personal identifiable data? Aggregated data is data that's summarized into 2 groups for statistical purposes. Under No Child Left Behind, all states and local districts must collect and report information on their academic assessments in reading and language arts and math. And that started under No Child Left Behind. Personal identifiable information is information that can be used on its own or with other information to identify, contact, or locate a single person or to identify an individual in context. And these can be, which is not limited to a student's school, an identification number that's tied to a vaccination record, a social security number, birthplace, mother's maiden name, biometric record, which is a record of 1 or more biological or behavioral characteristics on your student, which can be used, like I was saying, in a psychology record, fingerprints, facial recognition, voice prints, etc., etc., etc. So, I'm not going to go over this in detail, but these are some of the things that are required under No Child Left Behind to share of aggregated data. This entire presentation, by the way, is online, Arizona's Against Common Core, if you want to read it in more detail. So a few more definitions before we go forward. Data mining. The process of collecting, searching through, and analyzing a large amount of data in a database as to discover patterns or relationships. Another common core is used to determine a career path. Remember I said career path, predetermined career path? Or for career to work. Effective domain. Creating psychological profiles and molding human capital with values, beliefs, and dispositions without parental or student knowledge or consent. That is why they want the personal identifiable information. This will be tracked. Remember what I said, preschool through age 20. This will follow your kid from the time he is born all the way up. Statewide longitudinal data system. This was established in our states through federal grants from the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. We got our first grant in 2007, even before Common Core was adopted in 2010. And we got another one in 2012, and we're asking for another one in 2015. This is how they share the data with the federal government and other states and other entities. This is just a document proving that they're sharing data. On the ADU website, there's ADE partnership priorities. It shows the data that they've shared from 2011 to 2014. And I have information, current information, what they're sharing in 2015 as well. So that's just that document. This is just showing you some of the grants through the statewide longitudinal database. In 2007, we received $4.9 million, and in 2012, we received about $6 million. And in 2015, as I mentioned, we're requesting more money. So these are the goals of the SLDS system, what they want to do. Improve student achievement and graduation rates, improve state, district, school, and education efficacy, drive instructional programs, support the increasing demands of data and information. Those all sound nefarious, but like I said, why do they need our psychological records? Why do they need our fingerprints? Why do they need all this data? And this is the roadmap in Arizona. Currently, our SLDS system is 50% complete. I'm just going to go ahead and forward to that. Arizona has the Data Quality Governance Campaign, is a national website that tracks how far we are with SLDS in all the states. Arizona is at 5 of 10 action items, or 50%. And we have the basic framework. We just don't have the sharing completely networked between teachers and kids and outside of our state. But they're continually requesting more money to do so. If you go to this document, which I have referenced here, you can see all the action items. This is where we are compared to the rest of the country. The darker, the green is the more action items complete. It's interesting, Common Core was never adopted in Texas. Look how green they are. They're sharing a lot of data. So these are all the questions they asked to see how we are in relation to that. I wanted to spend most of my time on this. Representative Fiction talked about the local bills. We have 2 really bad bills right now that are going through Washington. One is H.R. 5, and it's the Student Success Act. And we have Senate Bill 1177, Every Child Achieved Act. H.R. 5 just got passed through the House last week, on January 8th. It's a very bad bill, and Congressman Salmon is supporting this bill. He didn't help write all of it, but he's supporting this bill. This is why it's bad, and I wanted to highlight a couple things here. H.R. 5, again, denigrates parental rights and seizes state sovereignty. Does nothing to relieve children from No Child Left Behind, oppressive testing requirements. Salmon did put in a bill, amendment to the bill saying that we can opt out of federal assessments. But he just left it at that, federal assessments. The only federal assessment we have right now is NAEP, the National Assessment for Education Progress. We can already opt out of that. We needed being able to opt out of statewide assessments. That did absolutely nothing for the bill, and it improved the bill. What's bad about H.R. 5 is Title I portability. What that means is a lot of schools in our state and throughout the country receive Title I funding for reduced lunch programs, special needs programs, etc., etc. They give, if you meet a certain testing requirement, 95% testing requirement, you will be allowed to have these funds. Now under this bill, everyone will be a Title I school if you receive federal funding or not. So everyone will be under the thumb of the federal government. That is why H.R. 5 is so bad. So I encourage you, please, oh please, oh please, contact your representatives who voted for this bill and say, what are you doing here? I have a lot of information on the website about H.R. 5. But the next one is even worse. Senate Bill 1177, and it hasn't been voted on yet, but it's going to be voted on this week. I've been saying, please, to everyone, please, 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 please contact Senator McCain and Flake. Will they listen? I don't know, but we've got to keep trying. Every Child Achieved Acts. Every Child Achieve Act removes the requirements of adequate yearly progress, which is you need to say the progress of your school, so that part of it's good. However, participation in the federal programs that are No Child Left Behind under this act, each state will now be required to provide a state education plan. And if your education plan isn't up to snuff as part of the DOE's requirements, you'll be rejected. You'll be rejected for federal funding. So everyone's required to have an education plan now, every state. And the federal government doesn't like it, well, you won't get any federal funds. It diminishes the state autonomy over education by requiring increased consultation and coordination with federal stakeholders. Whoopee! The implications for states dealing with these new requirements for standards and alignment are troubling. This will basically codify Common Core if we don't stop this bill. It's currently up for a vote, like I said, currently right now in the Senate, so please, please, please contact your senators. Now, I have this slide. I was debating if I was going to show it to you today, but I wanted to show it to you briefly. We didn't talk a lot about standards and things like that today, but this is from Eagle Forum. It's the example of National Socialist education at its worst, or Nazism. These are the similarities of this Führer document from Germany with Common Core. Take a look. Powerful teacher union that the majority of the teachers belong to, promoting a new system. Do we have that? No. Teachers weeded out who could not accept the new system. Are we having teachers quit like crazy? Yeah, we do. Curriculum rewritten to reflect new ideology. Is that happening? Because the curriculum needs to line up to the assessments and vice versa, otherwise they won't do well in the assessments. Anti-intellectual teaching, standards dumbed down. Absolutely, the Ivy League schools are reducing their entrance requirements by 2 years in math, for instance. They only have to go to Algebra 2 now at Stanford University to be submitted. Before it was up to pre-calculus. They're lowering their entrance requirements because of Common Core. Master teachers to train other teachers, really master spies. Do you know that Obama wants 10,000 master teachers paid by federal dollars to watch other teachers? Kind of disturbing. Data collected on students and teachers. It's happening. Some students are Hitler's youth trained to spy on teachers and fellow students. Well, as far as I know, that's not happening, but who really knows? Children belong to the state. Parens Patricia. That is where we're heading, folks, if we don't stop this ugly beast. So I don't want to leave it on a bad note. What can we do about dynamite in Arizona? First of all, contact our congressmen and our senators about H.R. 5 and Senate Bill 1177. We need to stop those in the bud. Encourage our legislators, Mark Fincham here, drafting of legislation to protect us from the state longitudinal data system, sharing our P2 data, etc., etc. Contact Superintendent Douglas. I've been having lots of meetings and discussions with her about P2 data because she's been lied to from day one that it's not happening. Well, I've been proving it to her, it is happening. Join our organizations. I'm Arizonans Against Common Core, Jenna Ray's Opt-Out AZ, opting out of the AZ merit test. We get rid of the data mining and the assessment. Common Core is no more. Share this presentation with your communities, and that's the link there for the presentation. Thank you.